Alright, on today's video, we've got a brand new optic that just came out. And not only is it a brand new optic, it's from a brand new optic company. And that company is ZeroHawk. This is the EM1 multi-reticle enclosed emitter RMSC footprint red dot. Let's head over to the other bench and check it out. Alright, let's jump right into all the specs and features on our ZeroHawk EM1 enclosed red dot. Now I'm going to bring a picture up on the screen so you can see everything that comes in the box. But there's a couple super cool things in here that I want to talk about that you don't see with a lot of optics. Now this optic has the RMSC footprint, but it comes with two mounting plates. So if you want to put this optic on a gun that has the RMR footprint, well, it comes with an RMR to RMSC adapter plate. And if you have a Glock with the MOS system, same thing. They have a plate that goes from MOS to RMSC. And the last thing I wanted to show you was this. This is a really nice thing that they added to the box. This is all the screws you're probably going to need to mount this optic on just about anything. But when you open these up, what's super cool, right here we have 6 screws. But they're in foam padding. I really like this kit. I'm going to definitely keep this. So I'm getting ready to install the battery in this, and I wanted to show you something really cool. Now this only has one screw holding the battery door in, but I'm okay with that because this is actually captured. So this little screw's not going to fall out. That's a really cool design. Alright, let's go over some quick dimensions on this. This is 1.61 inches in length. It's 1 inches tall and 1 inches wide. The body on this is made out of 7075 T6 aluminum. It has an IP67 waterproof rating, and it only weighs 1.17 ounces. Now it runs on a CR1632 battery. It does have 50,000 hours of battery life, but obviously that's going to be on the lowest setting. Now the window size on this is pretty small, but it's 0.83 inches wide by 0.59 inches tall, and it is an enclosed emitter dot. Now it does have a side load battery on this side, which is awesome. One other great feature on this that I like to see on every optic, this does have a backup iron sight built into the optic. And if we move to this side, you have your up and down for your brightness levels. You got your plus here and your minus over here. And when it comes to brightness levels on this optic, you actually have 12 brightness settings. You've got 10 daylight and 2 NV. And according to their website, this is shockproof up to 5,000 Gs. Now I want to talk about the reticle, but one thing I want to go through real fast. I just got off their website and I noticed that they do have a green dot version of this now. Obviously this is the red dot version. These are available for pre-order while I'm filming this, but by the time I release this video, they should be available. And they are supposed to give me a discount code if you are interested in one of these. Now, what's super cool about this reticle is that it is a 2 MOA red dot, but it also has a 32 MOA circle. And you can use just the dot or just the circle, or you can use the circle and dot together. Now, one thing that I always like to do in the unboxing portion of these optic reviews is test the windage and elevation. And what I'm looking for is I want to see how tactile and audible the clicks are. Now, these are 1 MOA per click. Oh, wow. Okay. Nice tactile clicks. You can feel a nice positive stop in between each one. A little bit audible, not the best, but I'm really impressed with how tactile those clicks are. Let's see if we get the same on the windage. Oh yeah, very nice. They did a really nice job on that. And the last thing we'll talk about before we head out to the range, this does come with a lifetime warranty. The EM1 and the DY9Z showed up at the same time, so I figured why not put this on the DY9Z, since this slide is cut for a direct mount of an RMSC footprint dot, and we could really rack the rounds up on this optic because we were also doing the review on this DY9Z. Now, the first thing I had to do when I got to the range was get this optic sighted in, which it didn't take very long. I only ended up needing 4 shots to get the zero right where I wanted it. Now, I shot this video over the course of a few days due to how bad the weather's been. But on day 1 of filming, the wind had died down and the sun came out, and I figured, well, this is a perfect time to shoot some 10-shot groups with this and do a little torture testing on the optic. So I set a target up at 10 yards, I shot 2 10-shot groups, and then I went back to my truck and started racking the slide with the optic off the tailgate. And then I went back and shot 2 more 10-shot groups, and I'm happy to report that it held zero just fine. Now, being that this was a brand new optic on a brand new gun that I had never shot before, I was struggling a little bit getting a feel for the gun due to the fact how small it is. So quite a few of my shots, I was pulling low right. But as the day went on, I got super comfortable with the gun and the optic, and I started shooting it pretty well. Now, the glass quality on this EM1 is really nice. I'm not seeing any kind of distortion or anything through the glass. It does have the slightest bit of blue tint, but it is definitely nice and clear. Now, as far as the red dot goes, it's plenty bright, but I did have the optic turned all the way up to the max throughout the 3 days of filming. Now, when I switched from the dot to the dot and the circle, it's really bright. So I actually turned it down a couple clicks when I was using the dot and circle because I didn't need it maxed out on the brightness level. And the same goes with the circle if you're just going to use the circle. Now, I've said this time and time again in these videos is I really don't care about multi-reticle. I don't ever use it. I just always prefer to use a red dot or a green dot. I don't care about the dot and the circle or the circle. But there are a lot of people out there who like to use the dot and the circle together, so it's a really awesome feature on this that it has multi-reticle. Now, if you have astigmatism, you're probably going to really like this dot because I was getting very little starbursting with the dot, and I was almost getting 0 starbursting when I was using the dot with the circle. And I have pretty bad astigmatism. So between the emitter and the glass, they did a really good job on this. Now, the window size on this is not one of the biggest windows that I've tested on the channel, but it's definitely not one of the smallest either. But this optic and this DY9Z were a great combination. I was having no issues transitioning from the steel to the USPSA targets and back to the steel. I was able to get on target pretty quick with this. So I think the window size on this is just about perfect for a subcompact gun like this. Now, I ended up racking up a little over 500 rounds on this optic, and I'm happy to report that it never lost zero. And the glass held up surprisingly well for as many times as I racked it off the tailgate of the truck. But we're going to talk a little bit about the glass when we get into the pros and cons on this, because there is one thing I'd like to see them change in the future with this optic. All right, we got all our hits on the first piece of steel. Next target, we got all alphas and one Charlie, almost touching the perf. Now our next target, we got all alphas and two Charlies, just a little bit outside. And our last piece of steel, I did have a miss over here. Now, one thing that I like to do in every one of these optic review videos is test the Shakeaway. But I don't like to do it until after I get all the range shooting done, because I think it's a better test to test the Shakeaway after all the abuse you put on the optic. But once I got home and I got back in the studio, I set up the camera, and as you can see, the Shakeaway is still working great. Now, the screws that they provided with the optic worked just fine. Nothing got loose, nothing broke throughout the 500 rounds or racking it off the tailgate of the truck. And I'm also happy to report that the side load battery screw on this did not come loose either. So far, this is a really rock solid optic. So let's start talking about the pros and cons of the ZeroHawk EM1. We're going to go ahead and hit the cons first. So a couple minutes ago, I was talking about the glass on this. Now, I had no issues with the glass. It's nice and clear. That's not the problem. What I'm a little concerned about is the glass and how close it is to the edge of the front of the housing. I would have liked to seen them recess that back in just a little bit more to give that front glass a little more protection. I don't know if it would ever be an issue, but it's just something I would like to see, to recess that glass back in just a little bit more. The back glass, I'm not concerned about, but the front glass is a little bit of a concern for me. My second con with this optic, and I know why they did it, because they kept this optic completely black. I know a lot of people can't stand white lettering and things like that on an optic, and they did a really good job of giving this a really clean look. But being that I'm 51 years old now, and my eyes definitely aren't what they used to be, one thing that I would have really liked to seen them do was put a white arrow and a white R on the windage. And the same thing with the elevation. I would have liked to seen the up and the arrow in white so it's easier to see. So now let's talk about pros, because there's quite a few pros with this optic. So the first pro with this optic is the price, because honestly, with all you're getting for this, I was a little blown away when I went on the website and saw what the price was. Now, they've got 4 different versions of this optic right now. They have a red version. They also have a green version, I believe is getting ready to come out. I don't know if it's out quite yet. This optic's very new, and in fact, the pre-sale might still be going on this by the time I post this video. But depending on what version you go with, these are as low as 140 beans up to 160 beans. And if you head over to my website and go to the weekly deals section, I do have a discount code over there, which will knock even more off of the already low price. Another pro that I haven't even talked about in this video yet is the deck height on this optic. It is nice and low. Even though it's still a side load battery, they really kept the deck height low on this. Now, with the sights that came on the DY9Z, I'm still not able to co-witness, but I am going to be replacing the sights on this when I bring this gun back for the 1,000 round review, and I am going to put Tag Precision optic height sights on this. But with guns that already have taller sights on it, you're definitely going to be able to co-witness your irons if this optic were to go down. And the other plus to this, they did put a backup set of iron sights on the optic itself. The other pro with this so far is the durability. It held up to the torture test on the tailgate of my truck, and a little over 500 rounds of ammo, and this optic is still working great. And my last pro with this it's just a damn good looking optic. I really like the looks of it, and I really like the looks of it on this Derya DY9Z. It's a very small, compact optic that you can actually direct mount to an RMSC cut slide. And even after all that, how nice they made the housing and everything look on this, you still have a pretty good size window for a dot that's this small. Well, I really want to thank ZeroHawk for sending this out to the channel. You guys did a great job with your very first optic, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're going to put out in the future. And not only that, I hope I get to continue to work with this company because I really like what they're doing. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.